Do you understand the charge in count 2, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Do you understand the charge in count 3, murder in the first degree?
Yes.
Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
Bryan Kohberger, keeping it short, but answering the questions that he had to in court today. He was arraigned. That means presented with the charges against him, specifically involving the stabbing deaths, gruesome, of 4 University of Idaho college students. Usually, you put in a plea of guilty or not guilty. There's another option specific to the state of Idaho, which is basically an embrace of your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. And it is what they call in that state standing silent, okay? Now, what does that mean? It means what it says. You don't enter a plea. The judge then, under state law, must enter a plea on behalf of the defendant, and that plea must be not guilty. Obviously, it would be crazy for the judge to plead guilty for somebody. And that's what the judge did, pleaded not guilty on all 5 counts. 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of burglary. So why do you do this? What does this mean? But here's what I'm really interested in. Okay, this bigger consideration of where investigators believe Kohberger may lead them, well beyond these 4 horrible murders. All right, joining me now is the one and only retired FBI agent, NewsNation law and justice contributor, Jennifer Coffindaffer. Coffindaffer, you're cheating on me on a Dateline special on Friday night about Kohberger, and we learned some new things, that Kohberger had purchased a knife and sheath on Amazon, that one of his sisters feared he was involved in the murders, that family members even searched his car, allegedly. But probably the most damning news from that report was that Kohberger allegedly broke into the home of a former colleague as part of an elaborate ploy to stalk or manipulate. She asked him, when she was worried about the break-in, to install a video surveillance system. Authorities believe he used the system that he put in to help her to stalk her. Now, this was big news for Dateline. Here's the problem, Coffindaffer. They didn't break this. Here's us a month ago. Tonight, we start with a big NewsNation exclusive. This time, it's about the Bryan Kohberger case in Idaho. We can now report some very frightening, potentially incriminating information involving Kohberger's behavior at school and a situation that authorities are looking at as another potential target for the accused murderer. A female WSU associate of Kohberger's confided in him that someone had broken into her apartment and asked Kohberger for advice on installing... Enough of me. I just said that. But it's so funny, Coffindaffer. You'll see. In this business, if they can get away with it, they try to. They'll take something that you say and they'll make it exclusive again. But it's also easy to do it to NewsNation because we're just getting going. But you got to fight for your rights, and we had it first. So let's unpack this, Coffindaffer. Why make the non-plea that he entered today? What does it mean from a strategic standpoint?
Well, from a strategic standpoint, I think Bryan Kohberger made a statement by not making a statement. I mean, for me, it was total defiance. That's how I read it. That's how I saw it. I can only imagine what was going through his head when he saw the judge actually saying, not guilty. Not guilty, not guilty, and so on. So for me, that's how I saw it. Possibly he could be thinking about a plea, and so he didn't want to enter a plea of not guilty. But no matter, Chris, where we're at is not guilty pleas on all counts.
To go through the process. Now, a lot of people have been confusing this with a couple of other terms that get thrown around here. Nolo contendere, okay? That is a plea available in a lot of places. Latin, it means I don't contest it. Now, here's the difference, okay? What he pled is basically availing himself of his Fifth Amendment right against incrimination, self-incrimination. So that's what this really is. It does not do what nolo contendere does, which is you're not contesting, but you are going to face punishment now. So it defaults into a guilty plea for the purpose of the process of punishment. Or neither is it an Alford plea. An Alford plea is from a case named Alford, where it established the concept, which Coffindaffer is very familiar with on the federal side, of you enter a guilty plea for the sake of a plea bargain. And if it goes wrong, there's a little bit of a leeway there, but the Alford plea can count against you as a guilty plea going forward also. So this is different than those two things. And to your point, does that mean in your mind, Coffindaffer, that he thinks that he could get a deal? What do you think that deal would be? No death penalty?
That's the only one. Would be no death penalty, and I don't even know if they're going to get that. We'll see how it shakes out. They've got 60 days to put that into the court and get that on the table. Certainly could be used as a bargaining chip.
Put your head in the prosecutor investigator side. Would you make this guy a deal?
No. I would not. I think the evidence is strong. I think the evidence is strong. And I think, you know, for me, my heart and what I did as an investigator, it's about the victims. And it's about those 4 kids that were killed. And I think they deserve justice. So, no, I wouldn't make a deal.
And he could have pleaded not guilty and still gotten a deal. He probably could have pleaded guilty and still gotten a deal. But it's interesting. Hey, do you know if Lori Vallow pleaded standing silent also, or no? Did she enter a plea? Do you remember?
Well, as I recall, she also stood silent. And I want to mention somebody else who did, BTK. And I also wondered if this is a mimic of BTK. Remember, he studied under the professor that studied BTK. And I think that was so interesting.
And if I hadn't asked that question, Coffindaffer, what, are you just going to keep it for Dateline? You weren't going to give me that nugget? If I didn't ask that question? I was going to see that somewhere else? No, I'm just kidding. Jennifer,
nugget.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I look forward to doing this trial with you. Thank you very much. All right, now I want to bring in the big shot, Ashleigh Banfield here, because I want to expand our aperture here, okay? Nobody's been on this case more than Ashleigh has, and we understand that they have a pretty good book, the investigators on this. My question, Ashleigh, is how curious are you about where investigators may be wanting to take this beyond the instant circumstances of these 4 college kids? What are you hearing about their areas of curiosity beyond these 4 victims?
Well, I think they're working in concert with Pennsylvania to start with. Pennsylvania has been sniffing around old cases. They haven't come up with anything now, but they've been sniffing around old cases, and they're probably doing a pretty deep dive into all kinds of old digital footprints of Bryan Kohberger just to see if he's had any behavior. But as you know, because you're a good lawyer, you can't just bring everything in, right? It has to be a very specific pattern of behavior to be able to bring things into a trial. So unless he's got very, very similar circumstances to this particular case, it's not as though all your bad acts, they may not even be bad acts by law, they might just be bad behavior. Yeah. It's not like all of that can come in. What I
the
find,
404B.
Well, I was going to say,
the
as a lawyer, I
404B
think
stuff
the
that you're
most
talking about.
interesting thing. Correct.
Go ahead, Ashleigh.
Correct, yeah, the bad act stuff. But I think as a lawyer, you hit the nail on the head about looking at strategy here, because nobody I've spoken to who specializes in Idaho law can see the strategy of not entering a plea out loud, other than potentially he wants to just use that speedy trial aspect as strategy, because we reported the other night, the whole network, Chris, there's 51 terabytes of information that everyone has to go through. And I think his strategy is, I don't believe these prosecutors can organize and get cogent enough on a case against me that I can't poke holes on in, 5 months.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.